How's everybody doing today? Um, One of the things I've been thinking about is the whole, I guess, issue of looking at these young watchmakers who make all these incredible watches, hand wound. You can see everything, and why can't we get those on a more affordable, uh, sort of a more affordable way to do it? That would be fun to talk about. And also, anything else that you want to talk about? Let me put up some more announcements. I'll be right back. Okay, let's see. Let's talk to the guys that watches the Facebook. And okay. And let's see. We'll invite the guy from Malaysia. It's evening there. I mean, I hope it's not too late. And guys from Germany. Oh, let's go Oklahoma first. And German. Hi, guys from Germany. Okay, doke. Okay, everybody's been invited. Quit. All right. Hi, Jose. Hi, 911 Euro. How you guys doing? I'm getting my morning coffee. Wide awake. Sort of. Um, Hi, Brian. Hi, James. How you guys doing? Um, oh, good. Sound and video working good. That's good to hear. Can I get my wake up medicine? You know, the I've been doing reviews of all kinds of different ones. Yesterday, I had a review of an affordable tourbillon, and while more and more affordable, complex watches are coming out, um, some of them aren't, and and they're not necessarily complex. They go back to something like Philippe Dufour's simplicity. And what I was thinking, would it be really that hard? Not for all of the finishing and everything else, but rather the sort of the simplicity of it. Uh, I when I reviewed Rene Cool's watch, I looked at that thing. This thing is beautiful, and the with the basic layout and everything, it was hand wound, nice big balance wheel and so forth. And it used what are called two-step bridges. It's a type of finger bridge that goes like this. And I thought, what would be in the way? What would be the difficulty of having a base movement with, I mean, just going through the basics. Primarily you have a winding gear. I would even better have a key, but I think that would not be considered too practical. And then the watchmaker can have this thing. And instead of being an individual watchmaker, it'd be something that you could not so much mass produce, but produce in quantity. There's a difference. This would be hand done. Everyone loves to hear that, but it would be something special, and maybe sell, let's say, on a wholesale basis for two, maybe 3,000 Swiss francs. Okay, maybe less than that because I've seen a lot less. Now, the one of the hitches in the giddy up of all of these is the is making the movement itself. In other words, you get all of these parts, you order all of the parts, and then you hire the watchmakers, and they have to go through and very carefully construct the movement. And so this would be another thing that could be considered, at least, is that saying, well, let's see if the hand process by hand can be done in such a way that there are fewer parts. And so this would be a really clean kind of thing. This is a thought that I've been kicking around. I'll probably bother if I next time I go back to Geneva, is drive old Jean-Marc Viderec crazy. He said, I mean, I'm retired. I don't blame him. Anyway, that was just an idea. Hi, Equus. Hi, Fernie. How you doing? Good to see everybody. What's been on your mind? Like I said, a lot of times what I'm thinking about is not what everybody else is thinking about. By the way, it's a full moon today, and I have on my Parmigiani Fleurier 1950 Loon. So there it is. What do you think? Another thing going on, I noticed that the watch prices have been coming down. Some watches that I was looking at have really dropped in price, and that's a good thing for us. There was a Michael, let's see, Michael McKay. Anyway, he does a lot of stuff with watches. He sort of took off. He does races go-karts, big go-karts, and he also has a really fantastic watch collection. And he was pointing out, he's saying a lot of these things, are going down in price, and so maybe that's something we could find. Thoughts on VC 222 release? I just saw that yesterday. F12 305. I just saw that 222 yesterday. Forgot what the price was, like 32,000 or something like that. And maybe it wasn't that expensive, but somewhere in that neighborhood, which is a lot less than the gold one. But I thought this is fantastic. It's sort of having a little sort of something in history. Now, one of the things I'd be interested in, and I haven't really looked at, is the difference between the original 222 and the new one in terms of the horology on the inside. I always liked the 222 because really the first luxury watch I had was a Vacheron Constantin overseas, and the overseas was part of this series of watches that became the overseas, and the 222 was part of that. So I was very interested in that, but I haven't read all the details about what's inside of it yet, and that's something I'd be very interested in. Hi, Truman. The new VC, we'll call it Traduce. But I prefer the blue VC56, more beautiful and cheaper. The VC56. That's a very nice one. It's a lot less expensive. The only thing about it, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what movement's in the VC222 and the new one. Hi, Zebu. What's up? What's up? Hey, Caesar, how you doing? I hope you're not too mad with me. No, I just just want to move on and get this done. I had some other ideas I'm going to I'll float later on. Um, is it 35K for the 222 Caesar? Caesar, by the way, Caesar has a very interesting, I guess it's a face YouTube video. I was watching it the other day and had some very interesting statistics about the Audemars Piguet. And I was watching it, and why is that one or these particular Audemars Piguets going down in price? Very simple. It's because they have a pretty, I think it was 34 millimeter case, which is too small for most people. But other people who have smaller wrists who would like that, this might be a boom for them. Just in the same way that I think a lot of the bigger, like 42 millimeters and stuff are sort of going out of style, and things are coming down to 40, 39 millimeters, even 36, but not 34. And so, um, if you have a bigger wrist and you want a good buy, some of these larger size um, not bands, but cases, I think you can find some great deals. Hi, John. How's the temperature over your place? It was, I don't know, it's like 20 something degrees. It was below freezing. I went out for a walk today. I try to do 5K a day, and I went out, and it was cold, but not impossibly so. It wasn't bad at all. Good thing, Caesar. Hi, Tim. Tim, you got the 222? Oh, I get it. Not I got it. Okay, never mind. Yeah, who can ever get mad at Caesar? Hey, hater, how you doing? Say hi to Fernando. Anyhow, so what else is on your mind? I'm gonna be working on, especially when I'm finished with the Etude, not that Arizulu. When I'm finished with Arizulu, that's going to be my project. I'm still on trying to get something in. Like I said, Jean-Marc keeps telling me that I don't want he doesn't like me because I come up with things to make him go back to work. Tell him it's a lot of fun. After his experience, who am I to say, hey, what? He's there already? Holy smoke, that was quick. Whoa, that's amazing. You guys work fast. That's something else too I wanna bring up. Um the buying from friends or people I like doing that. That I think is the best way to buy because nothing is between you and the seller. You know the seller knows the buyer, everybody, and it's so much easier. There's no escrow, there's no anything. I think one of the reasons, I don't know if any of you are do stuff with the Moda site, but the Moda site is one basically where people get together and they say, hey, I got this watch for sale, and somebody says, hey, I'd like to buy it. And then they say, hey, I want to report on this guy or some kind of thing. Does anybody know this guy? Anyway, hey, James, how you doing? How are things in the UK? Is everything okay in the UK? How's that? Hi, Allie. Okay, well, all right. So what else is going on? Filling up. Not really. Oh, no. Any ideas of I've got my ideas about what watches I think are gonna be really good buys this year. Not necessarily they're already I mean, they're good buys in terms of available horology. Unfortunately, some of them are starting to go up, and, I'm gonna sort of keep mum on those for a while, but other ones overall, some are going down. Hi, Greg. Oh, great. I'm glad you joined. Hope your holidays were enjoyable. I'm retired. Every day's a holiday. Yeah, they were. It's always seeing family. That's what the best price is. Prices continue down on the secondary market, only increase in the retail market. Really? The retail I mean, the retailers have gotta get a I mean, and, they got all of these things that you can't sell it. I was looking at some watches today. By the way, too, there was this place I went, forgot the name of it, and it's got all this great information about watches, but one of the most valuable information I was looking there's there's this odd watch that I like. So, the only problem is it's a Patek Philippe, and I've been trying to find it in before 2009 because they have the pre-2009 is still with the, Geneva seal, and they haven't without the silicone hairsprings. So I've been looking around for one of those, but I've noticed, on a bunch of the ones that I like, they've been there one of them had been there for sale for over 200 days. Um, so yeah, I think that if somebody wants to sell something, uh, they it would be wise to sort of find somebody who's willing to buy it for something that's reasonable. I'm not, I don't want to somebody to give away a watch. I don't expect that, especially since I'm going to sell. I think I have 3 watches I want to sell so I can get so I can get other watches. God, what a fool. Um, ec- Vintage pole routers, vintage Fave Luba, the round complicated 90s Cartiers. Yeah, those are good ones. I tell you, I have 3 of the Fave Lubas, and I think the ones I was looking for are the ones with dual barrels in parallel, and they're what's it called? Double Power, I think is the name of it. Fave Luba Double Power. Is that it, Fernando? Fernando had one too, and so did Brian. Um, yeah, I think they're called Double Powers. I I thought I bought them all up. I bought 3, broke one. I still have 2, and they still work. Twin Power, right? Um, yeah, the Fave Twin Power Fave Lubas. Where can you find a double barrel in parallel for you can get those things under $100. And there's been sort of an interesting shakeup, if you want to call it that. Fave Luba started in Switzerland. They had problems and they more or less ceased to exist. But then they were bought, and I don't know how many people bought them before this, but there was an Indian company called Tata, Tata, I think. Anybody from India can straighten me out on that. And Tata had them for a number of years, and they have an Indian market, and so they wanted to have them for that market, but still be made in Switzerland, and I think they were. So, but then Tata just sold them, and then I read something. Somebody says, "Oh, we're going to bring back the Fave Luba to their old glory," which I think would be, whatever the old glory was, um, the one that they went broke with, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, but, anyway, I'm glad you brought those up. Yeah, those are, James, those are really interesting ones. That's, vintage pole routers and so forth. Um, the round, complicated, 90s Cartiers are due, come up. I hate them. That's some of the other things that, have been sort of discovered are more, movement by THA, which is the group that, FP Journe and those other couple other guys, Vianney Halter and, Fagollet, started. Uh, and they had the one I found out about originally was a Cartier, mono pusher, and then some other ones became available. Oh, yeah, the Messina, is that it? And who else? Somebody else, uh, put one out. So there are a lot of interesting things on that, and they're not the ones that sell out, they're not necessarily the conventional ones. I mean, and by conventional is the usual suspect. Repaint. Right, yeah, repainted, right. No twin tower, that's a shame. Power. That was the most interesting one they have. Well, I got 3 of them, 1 broken, and I'll trying to fix it. Do you think, they're really gonna bring back the twin power movement with their new line? I hope so. I mean, there's, what you gain by having twin barrels in parallel is a better constant force. What you lose that you'd have in a serial twin barrels is the, power reserve. I mean, the length of power reserve. So, I don't know. This is a funny kind of thing is that oftentimes the decisions are not made on the basis of what the best horology is, but rather what is more easily produced. It depends on the watch company. Other ones like these young guys like Cools, these guys are making like 12 watches a year. Their their prices are over 100,000 Swiss francs, and they got a waiting list. Okay, so I and they come out with these really beautiful watches. That's why I suggested at the outset, it's really not impossible to have something affordable. The problem is the startup. You gotta get the base, and then you gotta get all of the gearing ratios, but that shouldn't be that hard, especially, sick AI on it, say, "Go get them." And, I don't know. Yeah, by the way, too, if you wanna talk about AI is, two-edged sword, we know that, but I was thinking of the edge that we want. Who knows? Here's the other problem. I was watching something on TV the other day, and this person said, "Oh, yeah, I had a job, and it was taken over by AI." I thought, "That's not gonna help people warm up to it," but, you know, robots started in ways that people didn't even realize or recognize as robots way back when. They had ATM machines. As soon as banks started having ATM machines, the number of tellers in a bank went way down. They just didn't need them anymore. Um, my grocery store, I got this one grocery store that they're experimenting with these carts. And what you do, you get stuff and you put it in the cart, and they have these scanners or something to recognize code, so that when you put something in the cart, it's got a little thing on the pusher, and it shows you how much you have in there. And then once you're finished, you say you're finished, and it'll put your credit card up there, and it's gone, and then out you go. And you don't even have to stop to a clerk. And I'm thinking, hmm, you know, there go all the clerks in the grocery stores. And for years, it's been, all of the math was done by the machine. So it's, I don't know. I don't want to sound like some old fart that I am anyway, but you're crying in your beer. There are a lot of other problems before they had that. Anyway, enough of that. Messina Lab, that's right. Greg, what paddocks are you looking for? Have three, and two of them are before 2009, 2573. Ooh, the 5053. I think the one I'm looking at there are really two of them, and they're both gondolas. One is a 5090. That's a very different looking one. It's sort of a oblong shape, and it just odd as all get out looking. And that's the one I said. There's a whole slew of those things for sale that have been for sale for a long time. Um, but I got other things on my list too. But thanks, Greg. Yeah. Hey, James, do you know what movements are they using in the new Fave Lubas? I don't know. Hey, Angus, how you doing, man? I got audited recently by state tax department, not federal IRS, for watches I imported back in 2022. Yikes. I paid import duty to clear customs, but that's separate from state sales tax. Yikes. Gee whiz. I Now, I shipped out all of the American watches. We had the Larique watches, Etude number 2 had to be fixed, and so I had everybody send me their watches, and then I shipped them all back to Switzerland. And they were being shipped out with a special kind of thing I put on them, or the guy, our Swiss financial representative, put on it, and they're out for repair. And then when you get them back, you're not supposed to get taxed or anything else because it was for repair. But knock on wood, we'll see what happens. I just sold a watch and got paid for it, and I'm gonna have to see my tax accountant how to handle that too. But they could come knocking for. But why would they? I don't know. Do you have your own business, Angus? Since customs documented the transaction, I was on the hook for self-reporting sales tax. Only applies to person to person. Are they sales tax on person to person? Good grief. Oh. Well, I don't know. If you're in the US, the taxes aren't that bad. And it depends what state you're in. If you're in the city of New York, you may end up paying city tax, state tax, and federal tax. You never know. The Bax tax, unpaid interest over 2 years, and punitive penalties ended up being triple the cost of the original sales tax. Hope this helps somebody. I don't know if it helps, but it sure scared me. I don't know. I mean, how can you, if you order a watch? I don't know. That's sort of weird. I guess that would only work with imports because they would have a record of it. Like if I bought a watch from Fernando and who lives up the street, um, they'd never know about the transaction. And so I don't know. They should be, person to person having sales tax on that. I think is, if we live in the same state, maybe that would help. Alec, can we copy the Fave Luba twin power movement and readjust the gear a little bit to look like a Langenheim Georg? Wow, that's a great idea, Ali. That would be a great idea. I like that. Hang on a second. You want to see what here's my, I think this is it right here. See if I can show this to you. Whoops. Show it to you without breaking it. Okay. This is my Fave Luba, which is, you can see the twin barrels up there at the top. And I don't know what happened to it. I think it's Fernando's fault. Anyway, I've taken it apart, and it's a good thing I got 3 of them. So I got another one I can break before I better cut it out. But, hang on, let me see if I can bring that any closer. Maybe, Allie, that'd be something to try. It looks a little more stacked up than would appear, but maybe that is something. I put the back case on it. The other good thing about it is hand wound, so you don't have there's an added complication you get with a rotor, no matter how you do it. Joe Pereira supplying Fave Luba. Ah, so Citizen, yes. Yes, indeed. Hey, James. Is the Bulgari Scuba any good? It has an in-house movement. Yeah. Okay. By and large, I like Bulgari because they're not using ETAs and so forth. They're owned by LVMH, and LVMH has La Fabrique du Temps, which is their movement part. However, the BVL branded movements are labeled movements, I think are from Calypso. I'm not positive. I was told that. And I don't know. I I don't have any experience with Calypso, but there's a very interesting relationship between Calypso and La Joux-Perret. Okay. And it's not through Citizen. It goes back to about 2003 when La Joux-Perret was really Jacquet SA. And then when Jean-Pierre got in hot water and had to go up the river for a while, the people who were stakeholders in Jacquet SA renamed it La Joux-Perret. I'll say it wrong no matter what I try. But anyway, that's got an interesting history to it. Now, what about Citizen owns it, but I don't know what they provide other than financial. They want them in Switzerland, obviously. They're in La Chaux de France, I believe. I don't know, man. That's a good question now. So anyway, to answer your question, James, the guy who runs Calypso is Valjean Jacquet. I think that's his name. I know the last name is correct. Who is the son of Jean-Pierre Jacquet, who got in a heap of trouble. And so, sort of an interesting thing. And so, on the one hand, the guy should have some really good experience because the movements that Jacquet SA made were made from iboshes, primarily from ETA. But the watches he came up with after that were really good. I mean, they were the movements that he made. And so what Jacquet SA did, and now La Joux-Perret is doing, however you say it, is very similar. Is that they're taking iboshes. I don't know where the ones from there it is, where they come from, but that's been their history. Now maybe the Pereira is doing the whole thing. At one time, I don't know, I think there was some connection with Soprod at one time, and Soprod made the Soprod A10, which was based on uh, a Seiko 4L, which was their first attempt to get into high horology. Didn't go well with the typical Seiko buyers because it was too high. Okay, so what else we got here? Ed's going to get a robot wife. Okay, Ed. Oh man. Hey, Angus, you live in New York. It falls under use tax, buying something international and casual states person to person. Wow. Good God. Man. Angus, this in October, you got to come to the Watch Time show. Be there for the Friday night party. There will be a lot of things that may pass under the taxman's perusal. 9/11, my experience. In recent years, FedEx has aligned with state of Florida computers to police state tax construction. Yeah, DHL. Oh, I don't think DHL coordinates yet. DHL, DHL, God. We had problems with FedEx because they didn't know whether to poop or go blind, I'll put it that way, with certain things. And we ended up having shipments sent back and all kinds of things happen. And so we're going to get DHL and they do it right. And so we got DHL and it's one guy got this incredibly high tax thing because they didn't know how to tax correctly on a watch. Here's some free advice for any international into the United States. I don't know if it, anywhere else. For some reason, the U.S. has really three types of parts that are taxed, each one differently. Doesn't make any sense, but that's the way they do it. This is on the watch tax. The case. The case is the most expensive. The movement is the least expensive, and the band is the band. All right. If you're importing into the U.S., my advice is send it without the band, and then get any band you want once it's inside. A watch that I hope to get soon will be shipped to me within the United States. It has a beautiful gator band, and so there's no problem with sights or the Fish and Game or with Smokey the Bear or anything else. And so that's why I like it. Had this been shipped to me from overseas, I'd tell the guy, take the band off, put it in an envelope, send it separately. Usually that I've never had a problem shipping it that way. This isn't smuggling because it goes right through customs with everything else. It's just not on my watch. What they do is that if you have a watch and it has a band on it that is under one of the many restrictions, there's sites, just about everybody knows about that. But in the United States, there's a Fish and Game people who have this exotic thing. I had to buy a license for $100 for a Fish and Game license. So now I have a Fish and Game license and I can import exotic skins. Like I don't it's just all of these different rules that they have. It's nuts. It really is. But it's important to know about them. I don't mind paying the taxes, the right taxes. So going back to the point that DHL or somebody at DHL didn't get, instead of separating out the three costs of the case, movement, and band, they put them all together and took the most expensive percentage and ended up with a very high customs fee. So I don't know. This is the other thing. things coming from Asia with DHL are handled beautifully. I don't know what it is with DHL coming from Europe, at least with the watches, because they get everything screwed up. And so back to FedEx again. I don't know if that's any help, Angus. I don't know whether they're you just hope the tech. I've worked with the people at FedEx. They have a special FedEx watch, was literally called the watch group. And this group is supposed to be an expert in that. The trick is to make sure the sender gets the paperwork right. If in the paperwork it says the three things you want to put down are case, movement, and band. Put the price down for each one of those. You don't have to put the whole, whatever it cost you for the whole watch. The watch could be $50,000, but you paid X, and X amount for the parts that they have the customs tax on. And so once you get that squared away, then things work out a lot better for you tax-wise. DHL, sometimes they do it great, sometimes they don't. And when they don't, way up on the taxes. This is just the United States. On the other hand, like I said, DHL coming from Asia. I just got one the other day, came through beautifully. And when I order stuff, I have no problems ordering things from AliExpress either. When I want to see if I can take a movement and destroy it with my ministrations, yeah, they get through without a problem. I don't know what the deal is. Oh, man. Hey, pocket watch time. Late to the party as usual. Oh, man. I sent my my FL out for repair. FL. What would FL be? I don't know. Okay. I sent my FL out for repair. It was run and stop. The estimate for a fix is $1,300. I told them thanks, but no thanks, and had them ship it back. When I got it back, it worked perfectly. Fave Luba. You actually had that one. Good grief. Oh, they sent it to me, Brian. That's how come it came back working perfectly. Oh. Okay. Here, this is in England or Great Britain. Here, sometimes they notice, sometimes they don't. But just a flat 20%. Man, there's no just about that. See, we're paying like 1.5% on the movements, maybe 2% on the cases. This is why we say, look, when you send it, make sure that the price of the movement is as high as possible and the case as low as possible. Hey, you can export exotic strap, but can you fish the Mississippi? I don't know. If you go to Florida, you got a gator strap in the making that'll chase you across the fairway. I don't know how you look at Serica. They use Soprod M100 for the movements, and their watches look very nice. Serica, who is Serica? I don't know them, James. Ali. I don't know who Serica is. But a Soprod, I like Soprods. Soprod is owned by Festina now. Hey, David, many Japanese dealers on Chrono24 state their listings that if the strap is made from species regulated by CITES, the sale does not include the leather strap. They still ship out the buckle. That's fine. I tell you, if somebody says, oh, well, I'm not going to buy this watch because I can get it for $2,000 cheaper, but since they're not send in a band, I don't want it. That's nuts. You can. I generally prefer the bands that I buy either from AB Concepts Paris or Jean Rousseau Paris. Both of those companies have excellent straps. They're very expensive. There's a guy in Canada with the unlikely name of Combat Straps who will do a lot of guys who use them just swear by them. They're great straps. Um, Forgot the guy's name, but it's the name of the company is Combat Straps. God knows why they named it that. Yeah, I will. I will, Allie. I will check them out. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that's a smart way to do it. Hey, pocket watch time. DHL always leaves my condo unit off the address. Always a hassle. Man, I tell you. Um, the other thing I don't like about shipping, this is weird, and I do like about DHL, oddly enough. I don't like having to wait all day. It says, okay, your watch will be here by such and such a time. I have the app, both the FedEx app and the DHL app. But on the DHL app, what they do is they say, okay, it's out for delivery. And then it shows a map with a picture of a little truck, and it says you're number 5 on the guy's route. Oh boy, that I like. But what I don't like at it for a while, FedEx, they were training all these new people, and what they were doing, they would come by the house, wouldn't stop, turn around and go, and what's going on? So I finally figured it out. What's happening was that they're being, I guess wherever they go is being plotted, and so they can see if they're going to the address, and they say, well, they weren't home or something like that. And this happens several times. So finally, I go down to the FedEx place. I say, look, I just want to pick it up here. If you just keep it here for me, I'll pick it up. He says, no, we'll have it delivered. I said, look, I told them what happened. After that, the deliveries improved immensely. So I don't know. I tell you what I like too, and they rarely do it. I said, there's a drugstore not too far from where we are that has a deal with FedEx that you can pick up or ship from there. And sometimes I say, oh, leave it at the drugstore, and I'll pick it up there and sign for it and everything. They don't like to do it, especially with watches, because it involves too much money, and they don't trust the employees in a drugstore. It's a Walgreens or something, some chain drugstore. So, so anyway, but they trust the FedEx drivers who go zooming by my house without stopping. Okay, let's see. And then DHL, a condo, man. I'll tell you, David, not David, but pocket watch time. What if you could do a pickup with DHL? I think you'd be a lot better off. Just tell them you'll pick it up at their drop-off point, wherever that is. Because, man, if I lived in a condo, first of all, you have to be home. Where we live, we don't even, porch pirates don't even bother us. We don't. It was for a good reason, but it's just, one of those things. We get stuff on our front porch all the time. Another thing too, God, we're getting stuff in the middle of the night. We'll go to bed and we'll wake up the next morning and there'll be a package that somebody dropped by, at midnight or something. I don't know. With the snow, fortunately, we've had very little snow this year, and what we've had that's dried up pretty quickly. But man, I tell you, that slipping and sliding in the ice is no fun at all. I think all of our snow that we're supposed to get got dumped in Tennessee and all the places where the South and the Mid-Atlantic got it all. New England, at least where we are, they've skipped us so far. Famous last words, I know. Hey, Sand, how you doing? I once bought a 160-13, later realized it had no hands. That That ought to be a deal breaker. Oh, I tell you something, Sans. Here's it's sad. I'm sorry. I thought it was sad. Here's what you can do. We have this guy. His name is Brian, and he's really good at putting on second hands. That's hard to do, but he's the guy to contact. He'll take care of you. See you, James. Ollie. Serica is independent French band. I'll take a look at him. Hey, Truman. Picanet is a good French band. Yeah, I've reviewed them. They are good. I agree. Yeah, I know. We have. I think if our local bears are looking a little fat, they got a porch pirate. There's so many lights that everyone's got these solar lights now, and they're motion lights, and so our place lights up all the time, mainly because it's a possum, a bear, a deer, a raccoon, or something weirder than that. And so I don't know. Burglars, I just think avoid. We're sort of in a sub-rural area, and it, it's one of those places where people sort of know who belongs. We're a very mixed group of people, but everyone seems to know each other, and everyone seems to get along, which is really nice. Saad, there you go. Just have a few mention capsules when you're expecting a delivery. Oh, melatonin capsules. You're right. You're right, Saad. It speeds it up. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, no, there are all kinds of really interesting stuff going on with that. Okay, what else you guys have going? Anything else that we should talk about? Melatonin. Hi, HRM. A buddy of mine managed to buy a Norquane with the Kinesi movement for about $600 on auction. Not so much Norquane, I guess. Norquane has basically the Tudor movement. I think the Chanel J12, which I think this is one, I think if you can find the Kinesi movement in a J12, you can probably get a pretty good deal. I think that's a very neat watch. They have them. If you like the sort of very much black sports watch that the J12 is, I think that's a neat movement, but it's essentially the same thing. Norquane and Tudor and Chanel all use it's sort of I guess would be considered sort of a medium level movement and movement making company. Chanel, on the other hand, they have their own high horology movement company that was started with the help of Romain Gauthier. So there are all kinds of neat things like that going on. $600 at an auction. By the way, too, I've been noticing there are a lot of different kinds of auctions as far as what you pay. By and large, the seller sells nothing. I mean, pays nothing, and the buyer pays it. Some have the opposite. They have, I think, when it's a buyer's market, I think that would be when your seller ends up paying a little more for the auction. Bezel has it set up that way, so you don't end up with a buyer premium. On the other hand, A watch I just sold had a quite a big premium for the buyer, and they also stuck me with a charge too, which I was surprised at, but they had done such a good job that I didn't care. What's my watch resolution? To tell you the truth, I've got several. The first one is to get Larique Etude #1 finished in perfect shape because it's a gorgeous watch, and get everything done on that. That's my #1 resolution. Um, #2 I've already done, which was probably really #1, which started back in December, and that was selling, one of my watches so I could have some money to buy more watches. Uh, and then there's some other ones that I have my eye on, that I wanna get, and I learned to be quiet about it until I got it. I think they're gonna I do think there's some really good buys if you buy Horology and not brand, I think you'd be the best off. Um, that's my own view of things. A lot of these watches, they get them and they're brand new and they're wonderful, and then they just something about them that's not fun anymore or just not wearable anymore. Um, I don't know. The ones that I have with really good horology in them, I tend to like those a lot better. That's just me. This is my Parmigiani. With the moon phase, I realized the only time I've been wearing it is when there was a full moon, and it's almost brand new. So I had it in my winder and just sort of left it there and forgot about it. Came back and the time was spot on. Not all watches in a winder end up that way. This one did, and I know there's a lot of controversy about should you put your watch in a winder or not. I do only some watches. Hi, lease time. Rat G. Okay. Good to see you, lease time. My 2025 resolution is to stop transferring money from my daughter's college to my watch fund. Yeah. My, and also from your grandmother's emergency surgery fund too, Brian. HRM Reservoir watches also seem cool. Yeah, they are cool. There's something about them though that I don't know. I there's some watches that I look at. I say, why aren't more people buying them? And the longer I look at them, I sort of figure it out. Um, One watch company, I think, where you have some great horology, but you don't have very good styling is Hotulance. If you like the style of Hotulance, you can find some great deals. This is one of the brands that's owned by I think it's called the Malin Group or something like that. It's um, H. Moser has H. Moser Precision Engineering and Hotulance. And Hotulance, man, I tell you, I've seen some, the $50,000 watches going for well under 10. But then I look at it and I said, God, do I want that thing? It looks like a riverboat on my wrist. I don't know. Either that, I'll learn to love it and shut up and enjoy it. Jean Ricard is a great example of buying horology instead of brand. They had models which were completely manufactured by JLC. Really? I didn't know that. I always thought that Jean Richard was sort of a cut rate brand. Maybe I'm wrong though. That's interesting, HRM. I didn't realize they had JLC movements in them. That is very interesting. Hey, Truman, all of the above, plus more. You better hope nobody reads your comments on this post. Oh, that's right, Hater. MELB Lux Group. I can never remember that. That is Melan the M in the MELB Lux Group. I love my Hotulence, but you're right. It doesn't get much wrist time because of the legibility. Super cool movement, though. Yeah, I've been so tempted to buy one of those. I really have, but I just thought, no, I think I'll just sit in my case all the time. It isn't a Girard-Perregaux. Yeah, I know it's not, but I didn't realize that. I got to find out more about that movement. That's good to know. Hi, Chuck. Hotulent makes me think of. Okay, God. Well, oh, geez. Never mind, Chuck. Jean Research outsourced the manufacturing of their watches. They used Eterna for most and some of their triple calendar moon phase. 10% produced by JLC. Huh. So it's really a matter of finding the right Jean Ricard, because Jean Ricard had some really interesting looking watches, and I thought, no, that's, I don't want to buy a good looking watch with junk horology. So that's what I. Oh, it's not 10%; it's 100%. there, there's no difference. just a just a clerical error. Well, anyway, well, look, guys, I tell you, it's after the hour. Oh man, Abdul, you just got here. Well, stick around and see what Abdul's up to. What do you think about Day Bethune? Here's what I think about Day Bethune. Wonderful watches that I can afford. That's about the only thing I could say about them. That's Flagolet's thing. They really make outstanding watches. They really do. Abdul, what do you have to say? Since you're late, you got to have something good for us. Whoa. Oh, they do. Yeah, HRM, this is some of the things I've seen that Jean Ricard has, and I thought, oh boy, that's sort of interesting. But then I noticed there's Jean Ricard, and it's sort of like, you're looking at an FP Journe, and then you find out it's something else. And hi, Tom. Sad Dennis is not making those watches. Oh, yeah, Denise uh, Flagolet, Denise Flagolet. Yeah, Tom, who is making them? Some people that watchmakers working for the brand, not the same as Andreas Streller. So Tom, so Andreas Streller makes the watches, makes the Streller brand watches. Is that correct? I think you're right, by the way. just making sure. Lucien Rochard also uses JLC Iboche movements in their moon phase. Triple calendars can be picked up for great prices because No one knows the brand. Lucent Rochard. Good to know that. Thank you. That is good to know. Hey, Chuck, I wonder how de Bethune is selling these days. 1960 company seems to really be trying hard to move the inventory. I don't know. It could be the price because they are expensive. Hi, Stuart. Is there an equivalent COSC which is made by Seiko? Ooh, that's a good question. COSC is essentially an observatory, um, reading. The way they probably it's done by some computer now, but originally what they did they would take some readings from an observatory like the one in Combe, and I think where the COSC is done is also an observatory, and then they would time it that way. You're right. Yeah. I don't know if there's an equivalent in what they use in Japan. That's an interesting question, though. There are a whole bunch of them, and at least the ones I know about, in both um, France and Germany and Switzerland. There's got to be one in England at the. There is an observatory, the Naval Observatory. I was there once, and there was this museum they have there. It's just fantastic. Okay. Hasta luego. Dog's looking at you funny. I gotta get a dog. I want to get a dog. We have a grand dog. One of the kids got a dog. It's a great dog. I just love dogs. Seiko has the Grand Seiko standard, which is 6 positions plus -3 plus 5 seconds a day. It's a little different, I think, isn't it? Or it's I don't know. Our watches, the Reek watches, are adjusted to 6 positions to something I think even better than that. And then I sent mine a to the Horological Society of New York, and they have a COSC type of test, and it did very well on that. So I don't know. Maybe I mean, I have a feeling that the people who have Seikos talk about them, and they're really excellent watches as timekeepers. Oh no. Hey, Washington. Well, you can celebrate your football team so far, I think. That's sort of interesting. Um, One of the funny things about the Bel Canto, uh, I subscribe to the New Yorker, and they have fairly expensive stuff that they advertise in that. And like there'll be an Hermes or Chanel or some big expensive foo-foo that they have advertised there. And the inside front cover there was a Bel Canto. It's that new gold one. It looks gorgeous. Um, yeah, I don't know. Once you get it, I'd be interested to hear from you how you like it, Washington. I think Seiko King used to participate in act. Yes, yes, Abdul, that's right. In fact, they were the ones that shut it down. Didn't they bring quartz watches to that originally, and they were so accurate that they decided to quit having them to having that competition? You're right. I wish they would have that competition again and say, "Okay, you guys, no quartz watches, no silicone hairsprings, no smart watches, just mechanical watches. That would be a neat competition. DB, UREC, MBNF, your holy trinity. Angus, Washington football fan. Which color bel canto? Asking for a friend. Hey, Charlie, there's actually one of the chronometer competition movements for sale in Japan. 7,000. Hi, Killer. How you doing? The new bel canto looks excellent watch for the price. Didn't have one in my hand before, so I will reserve judgment. Tom, by the way, do you have Instagram? Yeah, I got Instagram. I don't use it too much. I just put stuff on it. It's very popular, I understand. Let's start taking out TikTok and do stupid dances or something. What is the difference between a $2,000 Longines record COC and a more expensive COC retail? You know, Stuart, that's a good question. I got to tell you, I have very high opinion of Longines. I've had one for probably a couple years now. I got the Equation of Time one. That was a special one, so I don't know if that was made from '89 for their 100th anniversary of the name, or 150, something like that. But I got to tell you, I got nothing but good things to say about Longines. You know, most people I talk to who got Longines say the same thing. They're really great watches. So that's all I know. And no spring drive. That's right, Truman. It's a quartz anyway. Killer, currently salivating over Grossman's Hamatic piece, and also sobered by the price. Even I wish they put that movement in something a bit cheaper. Killer. And the rest of you guys, close your ears. I'm going to tell, this is just for Killer. I want to say, I've been talking to Christine Hutter for the last couple of years. I said, Christine, you know, what about a group of us? So if we bought if we bought a group buy, well, what I said really, I said, what about this? I said, we would like to buy a bunch of movements, of hamatic movements from you in a group buy, and then we'll take care of the rest of it. No, didn't want to do that. And she said, well, in a couple years, maybe we can work something out. But then I talked to her this last October, and she said, well, the way she'd want to do it would be with the watch. So if we could get those things for about 10,000, because they're like 60,000 or some crazy price right now, but if we could do a group buy of that, that I think would be very cool. Because the Maurice Grossman I have now is like almost a perfect mechanical watch. Really amazing. The next line is Stellas. That's not a bad idea. Those are great. Are you talking about like the Cerna, a new line for Cerna? Even once in a great while, M. Grossman will make a few price pieces in stainless steel, but they're still so expensive. I'm afraid. Yeah, they're me too. The one I got was, I just lucked out. Some guy in Dubai had one, and it was like one of those deals that was an offer you couldn't refuse. I'll put it that way. And that watch has just been fantastic. You know, that was an example. They come with this. The Maurice Grossman do not come with metal bracelets. I don't think that's one of the options they have. At least I haven't seen any. And so the guy in Dubai, he's really a cool guy. I said, well, look, if it's got a gator strap on it, just go ahead and send it separately and send me the buckle and the watch. And he did, and it worked out fine. But so what I did, I put a metal bracelet on it. I got that Ming metal bracelet. Those are really fantastic, by the way. And I've been having that on ever since. But I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll put the Ming on another watch because I do like the strap that came with the Moritz Grossmann. Yeah, they do. They have quality from top to bottom on those watches. Pocket watch time. You want a vintage Longines Comet. I don't know that watch. I do know that their EOS, their equation of time, EOT, their equation of time watch, I have not seen any of them. Those things are as rare as hen's teeth. And I can see why. They're great. They're amazing watches. The prices are decent. They're fantastically well made, and everything about them is and it works the time, and they've got a fairly complex thing going with both the sun up, sundown, equation of time, and then they have this locking bezel that they get that. Like I said, I can't say enough good things about Longines, and this is based on one special one. So what do I know? Yeah, I got. Allie, I know who I'm counting in and counting out. Believe me, if we can get that, because I think it was about year before last. She said, "Well, give me about 2 years." So if I see her in October again, I'll say, "Hey, remember?" See what's going on with that. I'm supposed to hear your praise for lunch. I'm surprised to hear, given that they started using silicone hairsprings. Yeah, David, I know a lot of watches I really liked are always before they started using that. But I mean, like in '89, I think it was '89 when they made the oh, they got a big long name for it. Yeah, you're right though. You're right about that. There it to me it's just I mean, to me the biggest contradiction in those blasted hairsprings is the Breguet tradition, because I just love those watches. Those are the neatest watches. But how can you call it tradition? They have Swatch owns I think an upgraded titanium-based hairspring called the Neverox or something like that they redeveloped or something in 2019. They could put those in the traditions, and you wouldn't hear me whining. But I think they already do it in some of the ones that Glasuda original watches that have that double the double regulator for the frequency and for the beat. And so they thought, well, we can't have those with silicon, so they put in probably the Navarrock that they do have. Yeah, Stellar is something. Abdul, that when a good deal comes by, it's really, I think for all of us, it's simply a matter of know what you're looking at. I mean, if you see a good deal, this is why who was it, Jean somebody that was just mentioned, when somebody said, "Hey, they've got good movements in it. They got a JLC movement." I thought, "Wow, that's something I didn't know." And that's that kind of information I think is really important. Saying, "Hey, if I can find one of these with this movement in it, why pay 2 or 3 times as much for one is the brand?" With exactly the same movement. So I think that's your point, is like, that is the point. Hey, Brandon, how you doing? I just saw the late to the party. Good to see you. Horology by the Sea is here. Love that name. Hey, HR, recently seen a super rare Seiko counter chrono sell at 97,000. Whoopsie. It was a manual wine chronograph. You know, this is the auction that my watch was recently in. I was so surprised by the number of watches that I, sort of would shrug at looking at that sold for a whole lot of money. And so I thought, maybe there's something I got to learn. Either that, sometimes people will buy a watch that, meh, nothing about the movement, nothing. It's just rare for some reason because for whatever reason, they didn't make very many of them. Uh, I don't know if you guys get this or not. Let me see. Where is it? This. If you have a Patek Philippe, are thinking of getting one, register it and they send you the Patek Philippe magazine. And they send me a letter telling me that I can buy another one if I want. But what they have at the back, so I can find it here. You can find anything here. Uh, they have these articles about these really interesting ones, and oh yeah, here it is. It's out of focus anyway. What these are a list of watches, and they have what they sell for. Here's this one right here that you can see as clear as mud. This one's 2,700,000, 2,105,000. Uh, this cheapo is only 806,000. 3,000,000. Three. And that's one of the interesting things about this is that they got people, 3 million bucks, hot dog, I can get one now. This is amazing. And then they stick silicon in them. None of those were silicon stuffed watches. Okay, what else you guys have? Oh yeah. Killer, you're a sucker for Streller. I don't think you're a sucker. I think you made it's a good buy. That Cerna, the Streller Cerna, I wish more guys would do that. Now, what I'm talking about is a guy with watches that, like before the Cerna, I think the cheapie that he had was 58,000, then the next one was 85, and the rest were over 100,000. So then the guy comes out with one that's 20,000. I know that sounds crazy expensive, and it is, but relative to the other price, that's the same thing that FP Journe did with the Chronometer Blue. That was supposed to be an entry level, and now look at that thing. That thing is, I've seen them for over 100,000. It's amazing. Longines Priest watch was a whole different beast. I think you're right. They had some of the finest in-house movements. They indeed did. At least mine does. I don't know about the rest of them. Like I said, I, I hate to even, somebody says, "What do you think of Longines?" And I tell them how wonderful it is because I'm thinking about one that was a special one. Well, that's not much help really, and it's certainly not, something I take to the bank. On the other hand, you go out and you take a look at one, it's always been swatched. Yeah, the price for a cent is much different. It is. Hey, Chuck, do you have any experience with Coney Cornell watches from Stuttgart? I've seen those watches, and they're really beautiful. If I'm not mistaken, they have wonderful engraving and solida movements, but I could be wrong about the movements. But boy, those are good-looking watches, though, Chuck. Anyway, sorry I didn't before. Hi, Isa. How you doing? Oh boy, my Breguet 70 57, one of the best watches, whole tradition line is superb. It is. It looks like something that Abraham Louis Breguet worked on. That is a wonderful watch, but they could. I take it to a watchmaker. Hey, take out that piece of junk hairspring. Oh, killer! That Pano verse. I love that. That Pano verse is probably my favorite of the Glass Hoodie originals. I with the That's the coolest thing. Have you ever played with that? That's I'd probably if I ever had one, I'd probably open it up and start playing with it and wreck it. It's all about cost of development and manufacturing. As soon as the automatic cars became more efficient and exciting, they stopped making manual cars. I know. I had a God. I'll tell you, I had nothing but stick shifts almost until 2000. They quit making them. Pano Reserve, yeah. Well, they have both. Pano Reserve also has that double, I think. Are you aware of any major wax exhibitions in Japan? I know they have them, Stuart, but I don't know what they are. Um, but they do have them. You know, I I think one of the problems maybe is these such expos may be brand supported. In other words, Seiko says, okay, we're going to have a big watch show, and they're all Seiko. Our citizen says, hey, look at all of our watches. I don't know whether they have one that's sort of like Watches and Wonders or anything like that, or even like the Watch Time show in New York. Watch Time has those. I know they have them in LA. I don't know if they have them overseas or not. Chuck P. I believe Glacida original watches with duplex swan's neck have metal springs, and geos with single swan necks have silicon spring. If they have a swan neck, they can't have silicon, I don't think, Chuck, because all a swan neck is allows you finer regulation, and what it does, it pushes the same arm that lengthens or shortens the hairspring. You do that with a silicon hairspring, they're too brittle and they'll pop. That's why they took them out of it. Same niche watches fetch insane money. A Seiko VFA Imperial sold for 400,000 euro. Wow. Jesus. Truman, just like really classy ladies. That's that. It's spelt with an E, Truman. Be careful. Come on, we'll all get in trouble. Oh, you got to go to a meeting now. Okay, guys. Yeah, I tell you, I better wrap it up. I thought I'd stick around a while so we could harass Abdul. There's nothing more fun than that. Abdul doesn't have enough harassment. Good to see you guys. Equus, Abdul, HRM, Isa. Okay, all right. First, you got to ask. First, I want to ask, how is your new Peacock watch so far? I'm looking to buy a Harmony of Dragon and a Phoenix. Listen, I've had it for what 3 days now, and it works fine. I mean, it's really, it's really a very nice watch. Somebody said it reminded him of a Chopard Eagle or something like that. It reminded me of a Seiko Heritage, the dial did, but the shape of the bezel and so forth reminded him of I think it was a Chopard something Eagle. But it's a nice watch. It's got a great heft to it. One of the things you got to do, even with, I don't know, I got a 7-inch wrist. You got to take the links out of the bracelet. What they did though for people with really big wrists is that thing is really big, and so you can take out a lot of the links in it so that it'll fit you. But I got to tell you, that thing is a nice solid watch. One of the funny things is that I like watches with good heft to it, and that thing's got good heft. The metal bracelet's a little light, but otherwise the heft is great. Do I know anything about Atelier de Chronometer based in Barcelona? Are they watches? I don't know anything about them. The one that was in Barcelona, I think it was in Barcelona, and that I had recommended was PETA Barcelona. And apparently, from what I understand, is that they shut down, and then unfortunately, they shut down with some deposits that never went back. So that's no good. But I don't know anything about the Atelier de Chronometrie. I don't know. Um, are they related to Ophion at all? I think is Ophion in Barcelona also? They may be. Oh, really? Abdul, that's good to know. That's really good to know. A hot brand have if they put the same movements in it, but just have sort of the poor man's version. Some years ago, Ford had bought Jaguar, and they came out with this Jaguar that was really some version of some model of a Ford that they put a Jaguar nose on it. And this guy that I knew, excuse me, he bought one not knowing that it was a Ford chassis. Excuse me. Talk about disappointed. Penalties. Yeah, losing my voice. Okay, guys, I really better go this time. Thank you all for dropping by, and hope to see you next time. Take care.